Hi, my name's Romy. Casty baby is having a chooch on my bed and I'm quite chilly today. It's quite cold. I have a frankly massive cup of tea which I'm very excited to dig into. Is that a tea leaf or a bug? I have a decent pile of clothes that I need to do some mending on. Some of them are fairly big alterations, some of them just need a cut or a little bit of stitching. And I thought it would be pretty fun to sit down, actually do the mending, and chat over a few topics. I don't know, maybe there'll only be one topic, and just have a bit of a chat and discuss my thoughts on things. Seemed like a good idea at the time. So the first thing that I will be mending is this beautiful thrifted top. This is a beautiful thrifted top. I got this, did I get it that day? I think I got this for 50 cents, which is why I went out on a bit of a limb for it. And I knew I really liked it, but I knew I wanted to change it a bit. So it's got buttons all down the front, and these are fake buttons, and there's quite a few loose threads that just need snipping to make it look neater. Then it has these really sweet bows on the side, so these just are loose like this, and then you can tie them into bows. But then it also, and this is where it feels too much for me, has ties up at the top of the neck here-ish. I can't actually see them here, and I was intrigued, but I didn't think I would like it, and I don't like how it looks on me personally on. So I'm gonna cut those off. I think I should just be able to get out a stitch ripper and pull them out. I'm going to cut the threads, and then I think it will be a really, really beautiful shirt. So it's been over a year since I started my YouTube channel, and fun fact, I actually had a YouTube channel way back in like 2011, and I had it for, I think it was around 2 years. I was really invested in the YouTube community, and I just loved it. I made pretty similar content, but I talked a lot about books. I think I did book reviews a little bit, and kind of took part in community projects that were happening in the community, if you will. And then I just succumbed to anxiety, I suppose. Oh, there's a stitch ripper. Oh no, it's falling down the chair. And I just felt like it wasn't healthy for me to feel that much anxiety and pressure to make sure I never did anything wrong. I was really proud of the videos I made, but I think, I mean, it's a long time. What, 2012 say? I finished in 2012 or 2013, I think. That's 7 years ago. So I don't really remember why I decided to finish. These stitches are really tight. But I remember I just was really anxious, and I think I just didn't like it anymore. But yeah, for a fair amount of time I was a YouTuber back in the day, and coming back into being a tuber was an odd kind of decision that I pushed against for a while, because I didn't want to have that anxiety, and I didn't really feel like there was a community space anymore. A lot of the channels that I watched during that time, I've never gone back to. I just feel like in the 7 years I have changed so much, and that's not content that I'm particularly interested in anymore. Wow, that was easy to get them out. And like, I can't believe it's actually been 7 years. It does not feel like 7 years. I didn't feel like there was maybe that same space anymore, and YouTube has changed an awful lot, and people are always talking about how much it's changed, and I kind of didn't really get it till I just started talking about it now, but it has changed an awful lot. Like, I wasn't a name on YouTube, I was just a girl who enjoyed making stuff and putting it out into the world. And when I started watching YouTube videos again, I was not, basically I stopped YouTube and my life went in a very different direction, and I didn't actually watch YouTube videos anymore after I stopped making them myself. I just completely stopped. That was kind of it, I guess. I never, like, for years, I don't think I even went on YouTube apart from watching like the occasional music video, and then suddenly, and I don't know how this happened, I don't even know what the first video I watched when I came back onto YouTube was, but I just kind of started finding people. I think one of the first YouTubers I found who really became very inspiring and kind of empowered me to not let my anxiety at a certain time in my life take control over my decisions, was Kira Rose. And her videos, her style, her filmmaking is just also beautiful, and she's so lovely, and just really, her videos really spoke to me, and they helped me get through some really very difficult, unpleasant days. And when I got out of that kind of sphere world, if I don't know what you would call it, depression, I just was so keen to keep going, and to this day I still watch Kira's videos. I think she's just so lovely, and has definitely been at the forefront of inspiring me to kind of bring my passions to a different format. I also ended up finding a bunch of other people other YouTubers who just inspired me to want to be a part of that community that was very different than the one I perceived back in the day, but was, I don't know, it's a community that I really think is special, and I really like it, and I think it's just it can be a very kind community, very caring and supportive and kind of full of love. And for me, I came out of the worst winter of my life, and I really struggle to talk about mental health online because it's so personal, and it's something that I will always be going through, I think. I've dealt with mental health for years and years and years, and I was thinking about it the other day, and it's been about 12 years since I first was aware that I was having mental health issues, anxiety and depression, and struggling with eating disorder, and kind of a spiral of not what you want to go through. And I came out of this horrible, horrible winter that left me frightened of winter and what it had done to me and what those days had presented. And I wanted to have something new to talk about. I wanted to share the things I loved because I so enjoyed watching others share the things they loved. And so I started my YouTube channel once more. There are a few videos on my laptop from my original channel, but mostly I deleted them all, which I kind of regret at the time, now, because I would like to see like how many I'd made and all that, but there's no record anymore of those videos, which is okay. I'm not really sad about it. But yeah, so I started my YouTube channel because I was so thankful for the people who had given me hope and had kept me interested and inspired in things when I was not doing well, and made me really passionate about new things and made me even more passionate to speak about the things that I was already so invested in. And it's now been over a year, and that brief interlude, the first item, is finished. That looks really lovely. I can't wait for it to be a mildly warm day so I can wear this. I'm so happy with it, and the cords I might be able to use for something. These would look so cute around like space buns. I might keep them, I don't know, they're very cute. Next up is this dress. This is a beautiful dress from Zara Basics that I thrifted. This cost me about $7, and I spoke about it in my recent thrift haul video, and it's just so bizarre and I love it, but also I'm aware it's quite a strange, odd dress. Basically with this, I'm going to just cut out these black ribbon, coat hanger ribbons, because I just don't use them and I really don't like them. They're always flying out on whatever item of clothing they're on. And I'm going to attach ribbons at the waist just because it's quite a large fit, and I like it as a shift. I think it fits nicely as a shift, but I think it's a bit too loose, so I think tying it back a bit would just make it look so beautiful. I have a bunch of ribbons here, so I'm going to work out which ribbon will look nicest. So it's been a year now, and I feel very inspired, and I think of new content that I'd like to create a lot. I really enjoy making videos. I really enjoy watching videos. I found so many creators whose content inspires me, and whose content makes me laugh, and just watching people create things because they are passionate about something is just so beautiful, and something that I just really love. I'm pretty sure I had a range of topics to talk on. So far I've spoken on one topic, and I've mended one thing, and I can't think of anything else. I'm gonna go with this lace that I was given years and years ago as part of a birthday present. And it's not very long, there's not much of it, but I think it'll have to do. I've spoken a bit in the past, probably quite a bit in the past, about my kind of, I don't know, I find that my sense of identity, my sense of self is very much tied to my style. I feel more comfortable in who I am when I express who I am or who I feel like I am externally. I feel more at peace internally when I express myself how I feel internally, externally. There's a lot of ternallys here. And that has been something that I have been unconsciously and consciously working on for years, and it's something that I feel pretty comfortable with now. There's definitely days I'm doing a what I wore challenge at the moment, and there's definitely days that I still struggle, and one day maybe I won't still struggle with my image and my confidence and all of that, but I might. For years and years I kind of had one image. I was a dancer for about 10 years of my life, and that was both a very beautiful part of my life and a very long part of my life, but also something that was ultimately very difficult for me. And I felt quite constricted in, like, maybe it was only towards the end, maybe I didn't during the early days, but I felt like I had to be a certain way, and when I ended up stopping being a dancer, I cut all my hair off, and it was this beautiful, beautiful moment of, I can do this, I don't have to worry about having my hair in a bun. And then a few years later I ended up dyeing my hair for the first time, and hair is something that now I feel I can express myself so comfortably in. Like, whenever I dye my hair, I still have moments of, oh my gosh, what if this is going to be terrible? Whether it's because I haven't dyed my hair in a while, whether it's shaving my hair, and there's always moments of, I'm not sure if this is the right thing to do. But then I think, well, it doesn't matter, because I can do whatever I want with my hair and it only affects me. And that's okay. I can change my hair, I can shave all my hair off, I can do whatever, and it's so beautiful. And that, maybe that's as empowering as having pastel hair or having shaved hair. But I know that I feel so content in a way that is very vivid. So I obviously find part of my identity through these forms of self-expression, and another form is clothing, and that's something that I have really come into in the last 12 months, 6 months even. I feel like I'm just going through this huge evolution, and it's so fun. And I, for so long, did not wear pink. Pink was my favourite colour when I was growing up. And then I felt like, and I don't know where this came from, I think it was because in all the books I read, the tough girls did not wear pink. Or, well, that's not true, they did. There's this beautiful series called, I remember the name of the book, but I can't find any of them on my bookshelf, so that's really going to annoy me. Maybe I've got it on my other bookshelf. Don't know why though, because they're paperbacks and I've only got hardbacks down on the other shelf. But anyway, there's this fantastic series called, I can't remember, The Lindbergh Legacy, by Sarah Rees Brennan, and the first book is Unspoken. And the main character is fierce and sassy and hilarious, and she's so sure of herself, and she loves wearing kitten heels and florals, and that, I think, was maybe a catalyst for me wearing more of a different range of clothes, experimenting a bit more with my sense of fashion. But for years and years I didn't like pink, and I didn't have a want to like pink. But I also, for some silly reason, thought that you couldn't be strong and fiercely independent and vulnerable and still wear pink. And I mean, I've watched a lot of Barbie movies, so I should have known that that was absolute tosh. But I didn't. And it was watching the very fantastic Pixie Locks videos that and I think I found her about a year after I first started watching Kira Rose's videos, and that really changed my perception on what I had ingrained in myself, what I could wear, and that was so beautiful. And I'm really inspired by her content and her joy in what she does. Jillian is so lovely, and I really admire her a lot. And I found in the last year that my wardrobe is now at least 30% pink, and that's just phenomenal. And it's funny because I'm sitting here and directly in front of me is my Barbie movie shelf, and it's just so much pink. Item number 2 done. I think that looks really lovely at the back. It's quite a stark, different colour. I'm hoping I like it. I can just change it if I don't, but I think it's nice. And now I have this. This I spoke about in one video or another. It's this beautiful dress from Ali Fashion. Thrifted, but it just fits me really oddly. It's really nice, gorgeous, absolutely delightful fabric. But it fits me fine around the bottom, but the top's just a really awkward fit, so I'm actually going to turn it into a 2-piece. I'm going to have a skirt and then some kind of flowy top for the rest of the material. And of course I'm going to be taking these pesky things out. And I feel like I really have become the person I always admired, which, just stopping to think about that, has brought a little tear to my eye. And there are so many factors that go into that. It's not just being inspired by other people's creativity. That's a huge part of it, but it's being inspired by my own creativity. It's having Casta, who, oh my gosh, she's gonna be 5 this year. It's all these factors in my life that have shaped me and helped me grow, and these people online who I've come into contact with and admire so much. And I remember thinking I would never dye my hair no matter how much I wanted to, because that was something you could never go back from. And clearly you can go back from it because you just cut it off, or you let it grow out, or I've started. I remember for years and years wanting to shave all my hair off and never knowing if that would be right. And it doesn't have to be right. You can wait for it to feel right, but it might never feel right, and you might never do it, and you might always wish you had. Or maybe one day it suddenly will feel right and you'll do it and it will change you. And maybe you won't like it, and maybe you'll think, oh gosh, what have I done? But the thing is, and I didn't come to this conclusion on my own, the thing is, you'll never know if you don't try. There were days when I was little, and days when I was not so little, when I so admired people who were all these types of different, and it was so beautiful on them. And there were days when I felt so staid and like I could never be quite, or I would never be quite myself. A lot of times I've had this really strong feeling that I'm not me, and then all of a sudden I let myself become myself, and that took form in creativity, in reaching out to people, in trying new things, in believing in myself, in getting a blue staffy, in dyeing my hair blue, purple, giving myself rainbow tips, in shaving all my hair off, in wearing pink, in saying, you know, I love rainbows and I love them all the more because I am part of a community that has a rainbow flag. And by being angry and thinking and saying that's not good enough. And I'm so proud of where I've got to. I think without fully realizing it and with fully realizing it, I've become the person I always admired. And not in all ways. I think I'll always be growing and hopefully becoming that person more, and maybe some days that person will change and they'll look different and I won't recognize them and it won't feel okay. It will be okay. Another thing I don't really talk about but also talk about quite a lot online is the fact that I am queer. This is something that, again, is very personal to me, and while it's nobody else's business, quite honestly, and I am so completely comfortable with who I am, it took a while to get to that stage, and I know that the same with talking about mental health. If I can change one person's life or make one person feel less alone by talking about being queer, it's worth it. It's maybe not something that I will be comfortable talking about every single day or want to talk about, probably more to the point, but it's something that I can. I have this amazing opportunity and this voice. We live in a day and age where you can type anything into your social media, and that isn't always a good thing. That's something that I don't think is always a good thing, but it's also so powerful. So powerful. And I think that's something that I want to take advantage of, that power that I didn't know I wielded. And I would love to make a difference in just one person's life, and if me saying, hey, I'm queer and it's okay, I got here. And the road wasn't easy for me, but it was so worth it. It's also worth it talking about it. And the reason I don't really talk about it is because that's just a very private thing. I am a very private person, believe it or not. I keep a lot of things very close. And mental health and sexuality in particular are things that it can be really hard for me to talk about, because I'm sharing my heart and I'm sharing my broken pieces with people I know and people I don't know. And that's hard. About a month ago, I wrote a post on my Instagram where I spoke a bit about this project called the Semicolon Project, where I talked about my mental health for the first time online. And that was scary. I was afraid of the responses I would get. I was afraid of who would see it and what they would think, and it made me really nervous sharing that part of myself. And I think I might always have that, maybe not, maybe one day I will be so at ease with what I've experienced and what I've gone through. But I also know that I don't have to share everything. I don't have to share every part of myself. I don't have to be completely laid bare. I think it is very, very, very important to make sure that you take yourself into consideration. I'm going to take a quick break from talking, watch a bit of a Pretty Pastel Please video, and finish getting the stitches out of it, because talking and stitch ripping is not going so well. So it's been about 40 minutes. I finally got everything unstitched and cut out all of the messy edging, and now I'm just hand stitching it closed again. I've done a lot less hand stitching than I thought I had. So I said before that I kind of don't talk about sexuality, and I also do talk about it. So that's something that I want to talk about a little bit. I do use labels, and one of the labels I currently feel really comfortable with is queer, and that is the only label I'm going to be discussing today and at the moment. And that is also the only label I've discussed online. I think. Maybe not, I don't know. And when I say I simultaneously don't talk about it and do talk about it, I talk about it quite a bit with my art, I think. And I was doing collages last year or the year before I think. I did a lot of pieces in honour of Pride Month to show my support and to kind of maybe in a way give myself a voice in a area of myself that I didn't really talk about. And I also, you may know, have an Etsy store, and I make quite a few different Pride inspired, rainbow flag inspired pieces. I have some really beautiful necklaces, and I have some rainbowy earrings, and they are in celebration of a community I'm so proud to be a part of. And I talk about this in Instagram posts and in my Etsy listing posts. And I never felt pressured to talk about my sexuality online. There were times when I wanted to and didn't. And there were times when I was afraid to, well, not afraid, but I was anxious about it. And there was never a time when I felt pressured to talk about my sexuality, I don't believe. Maybe just I myself thought I should. But certainly not anyone else saying, Romy, you've got to talk about this. So when I first started talking about how I identified in my personal life, I actually still have my book blog, and when I was kind of at a stage where I was really comfortable with myself, I started doing quite a lot of LGBTIQA plus book reviews, because that's something that I really am passionate about championing, and kind of promoting diversity in literature, in films, in the world is so incredibly important. So that's something that for a long time I've been really, really passionate about. And then I guess it's kind of natural that transfers into my art, my collaging, my jewellery making, and it's a community I'm really proud to be a part of, and I'm so glad there is that community for people. I think in the future I would like to be a bit more vocal about that, but Also, I know I don't have to be. I can be if I want to be. And there doesn't have to be any pressure with talking about my experiences. I can kind of do things at my own pace, and I think that's really important to realize, and not pressure yourself into like outing yourself or going beyond the limits of what you're comfortable with. I think it's really just important, I guess the same with what I said about mental health, it's really important to take care of yourself and not just think of others. This skirt literally took so long that my camera died, and it has never actually died whilst I was filming before, so that's, I guess, a win. But anyway, skirt done, it looks amazing. I am of course going to try all of these on at the end. With the top, I think I'm just going to hem it and see how it looks, because I don't know if I'd have to fit it properly. It's got this gorgeous triangle open back, which might look nice with a little like button at the bottom to kind of hold it together, but it might look nice. Flowy. This one's just kind of, I don't know how this is going to go because I have never worn a top like this. Maybe because tops like this don't exist. Kind of quickly going back to like how I have spoken about like my clothing and hair being a big part of my identity. As much a fact as so many other aspects of my life, like that I am a writer, that I am built on books. My hair and my fashion are a part of who I am, they're part of my identity. I think we just really need to dismantle the tropes that come with, or that seem to go along in people's minds, like you identify as queer, or you have a certain hairstyle, or you like a certain type of clothing, and that means you're this sort of person, or you love this type of person. Like, if you think about it, the way you cut your hair, type of clothes you wear, does not mean you are an open book. Does not mean you can identify me or say, well, because she likes this type of person, it means that she, of course, would dress like this. That doesn't make any sense. And I think it's frankly ridiculous. I reckon hemming this is going to take a fair old while, so I'm not going to get the rest of this done tonight, so I'll come back on another day. You will see me with this hopefully all hemmed, and we'll continue our chats. And back for session number 2 of mending. It is a few days later. I'm not really sure where I left off, but I'm currently hemming this, which will hopefully become a wearable cute top. We shall see. I'm going to hem, and then I'll be back to work on the last 2 items and chat a bit more. It's getting very, very dark. It actually feels like it's not raining, but it's just so overcast now. I can barely see myself in the camera flip. I have just finished hemming this. I'm not sure how it's going to go. This took me about at least an hour to hem, but it was pretty nice. I'm gonna take a break now and have my lunch, and then I'll be back to finish up and hopefully get all of this stuff finished today. Okay, lunch has been had. Unfortunately, when I went to get some pins to pin the hemline of that last shirt top thing, I found a bunch of material that I want to make things out of, and also other things that I need to mend that I just hadn't had in my room, in my pile of stuff. Hello. So the never-ending mending pile, eh? So the first of the 2 things is this kind of dusty pink embroidered dress. Not sure how I'm going to feel about this when it has been mended, because it just doesn't fit too well. I'm going to cut the straps off back here and hem them or burn them so they don't fray, and then have it as a halter, and then again it's got those plasticky hanging straps I don't like, so they're definitely going. So Castor is in with me right now. She is up on my bed watching me adoringly, and I am on a chair. And this year Castor is actually going to be turning 5. She turns 5 in December, and that's huge for me. And my favourite number is actually 5, so Castor turning 5 has been something that I've been looking forward to, but I simultaneously can't believe it's been 5 years, and I can't believe it's only been 5 years, because it feels like I have had Castor with me forever. I spend every day with her, and because she literally kept me going, having her, being able to look after her and have her look after me when I was really, really not doing well at all. And in Australia, as far as I'm aware, I last looked this up, I don't know, well over a year ago, like a year and a half ago maybe. We don't actually have emotional support animals in Australia. That isn't a thing that exists. And I would love for that to change, because of how important a fact that is. A fact of, I struggle to get through my daily life if I don't have this animal with me. I can't do things I need to do if I don't have this animal with me. Like, I can't imagine what it's like for some people, but I know what it's like and has been like for me. And when I was looking into, when I was really, really not in a good place, I was looking into, okay, I know that this is what Castor is for me, and I need to do something about it. And I was really, really frustrated that that's not a thing here. So, I don't know. I do know, because I think that needs to change, because it's so important. It's such a vital part of people's lives. And I just think it's really important that people are aware of that, and that it's a recognised thing. That's the word I was looking for before, recognised. Maybe that's the word I said, I'm not sure. So yeah, in December, Castor will turn 5. And then in January, it will be 5 years since I got her. And Castor is a very, very privileged little puppy. She gets 3 birthdays a year. She gets her birthday the day she was born, and then at the end of January, she gets her another birthday, the day that I got her. And then she also celebrates on my birthday, because I kind of got her as a birthday present. In January, my birthday's the second week of March, and Castor arrived at the end of January. And Castor actually, exactly a week before she came, I was swimming in a river, and I, entirely through my own fault, I was swimming and I started to go under, and I put my foot, was stretching my feet out to try and find something just to balance on to regain my breath. And I slipped and I got my foot on something. I swam to shore, and I knew I had cut myself. I knew, oh gosh, that didn't feel good. But it wasn't agony or anything. It was not too bad. And at this stage, only 2 people knew that Castor was coming. I was one of them. And it was a beautiful, beautiful secret. It was wonderful. And I swam to wasn't sure, and I kind of didn't get out of the water. I looked at my foot through the water and I was like, okay, it's a bit cut, but it's not, like, it doesn't look great, but it's not terrible. Dress done. I just did a little fold over and stitch of the hem thingies to make sure they didn't get wrecked. We'll see how it goes. Oh, I forgot I had a big old cup of tea. Brilliant. The last thing whilst I finish my story is this bunny suit. Incredible. I got this a few days before Easter. And this is from Kmart. It is amazing, so soft, but in its second wash it actually developed this hole because it hadn't been stitched up very well, so I'm just gonna stitch up the hole that you probably can't even see, make sure there's no other holes, and then I'm going to hop into it because it's quite cold. So anyway, I had a look at my foot through the water and I was like, oh, it's not great, but it's not terrible. Like, it doesn't look like it's bleeding, and that's because it was underwater and I guess I couldn't see that it was bleeding, but it didn't look too bad. And then I ended up being like, yeah, I'm not going to swim anymore, I think I'm finished. And we walked back to the car and I walked ahead of everyone else that I was with. I got to the car first, and that gave me time to be by myself and look at it, and it wasn't great. It was pretty bad and bleeding quite a bit, and yeah, it didn't look great. So I hopped in the car. There was kind of no talking. My mum had a look at it and went home. I came into my room, got changed. There was no talk about it. Then my mum came in and she's like, you ready to go? And I was like, what? And she's like, we're going to the hospital, Romy. And I was like, it's not that bad, it's fine. And I went to the hospital and I think I got 8 stitches and bled over the emergency 4 room, which the people present were a little grossed out by. Nearly passed out whilst it was getting stitched up was provided. And my mum as well. We were both provided with a cup of orange juice by the doctor, which was... I had to change the angle because I had the camera set up on my bookshelf, but then it died whilst I was talking about getting my foot stitched up, and the cord only reaches the second shelf. So this is probably a better view anyway, I don't know. Let's finish. So I'm in there and the doctor gives us both a glass of orange juice. He was phenomenal. And I was like, my vision was going blurry. There were lights. My ears were ringing. I couldn't hear what was being said. I was like, I'm not feeling so great. But I was alright. I didn't pass out. And how this refers to Castor, I mean, it refers to Castor in many a way because Castor and my lives are conjoined by our love for each other. But how this refers to Castor is that at some point, I think when I was getting checked over by the nurse, like the pre-check, which I, foolish me, did not realise was all that was being done. I thought, alright, that was easy. You just go in and they put a patch on you and then you go home. And no, there was a bit of waiting to do yet, and then I had to have the stitches. But when I was being checked over, the nurse was like, oh, so just think of something nice, like, oh, do you have anything that you're up to? Or whenever this happened, someone asked me like, oh, just think of something nice whilst we give you this injection, or because I had to have a tetanus shot as well. This story is all over the place. Someone asked me or told me to think of something nice, or what's something nice that you can think of, and I was like, I looked at my mum and I was like, I'm getting a puppy. And I was like, oh my gosh, my mum and I know, and now this lady knows, and that was very funny to me, and still is. And then I was very disappointed that evening because I had really been looking forward to meals. So like I went to hospital about 4:30 I think and got home at about 6, and I was really looking forward to dinner that night because we were having veggie burgers with homemade potato fries and ginger beer, and I was just ready. That was my favourite meal at that time. and by the time I got home I had like 2 potato chips and a sip of ginger beer, and then I was like, no, I'm done, I can't. And then I proceeded to have the most intense 5 to 7 days of incredible pain, wherein my foot became very infected. In retrospect, we realized how bad it was, but not really at the time. I couldn't walk on my foot for 2 days. I think I had to have crutches. There was a lot of fluid coming out of my foot. My skin disintegrated at one point, and the stitches weren't doing anything because they had torn through the skin, and it took a long time to heal. And I think my first stitches only came out after when Castor came the next week, and that happened at the end of January, and I could not wear Converses until April. And it took me a long time to not have pain in that foot. It was horrible, but I was so glad to have Castor with me, because I basically stayed in my bed and read and did collaging and slept whilst my foot was healing. And so Castor comes, and she's this new adorable puppy, and she just bonded to me completely. Like, we spent 24 hours a day together, and she pretty much she saw me most of the time, and it would be so interesting to see what she was like if that hadn't been the case. But I'm so in love with the relationship we have. I think it's beautiful, and I absolutely adore Castor, and I wouldn't change a thing, as much as that was a horrible experience. I got a puppy, and I guess that feels like just part of the memory now. At the time it was pretty darn awful, and I was very concerned about the fact that I was getting a puppy in a week and I couldn't walk. So yeah, I have just a few stitches left to go. Of course I'm out of thread now. Why didn't I thread more thread? And when I drank my tea a little bit before, I thought, you know what would be a great way to end this video? I've talked about emotional support animals, I've talked about anxiety and depression, and I've talked about inspiration, and I've talked about sexuality. Just to end this on probably a very, very, very mean note would be to talk about something a little lighter, and that is how I like to drink my tea. I drink a lot of tea, and my favourites change on a regular basis. I really, really love the brown tea. I talk about that a lot. And I love peppermint teas. I love cinnamon tea. I am very annoyed at this cotton. I really love chai tea. I think chai tea is probably my favourite at the moment. Hot chocolate's not a tea, but I adore hot chocolate. Hot chocolate is probably my favourite hot drink at the moment. But I also have really regrown my love for English breakfast at the moment. So I thought I would share my method for a perfect cup of English breakfast. Now, today I'm using tea bag tea. I kind of go between hot tea and tea bag tea. Most of the time, if it's just me drinking, I will just have a tea bag. But that being said, I do think hot tea, by which I mean loose leaf, is nicer. So I'm having a cup of Medora organic English breakfast. I think English breakfast is delicious, but I think organic English breakfast is my favourite. And I have poured my boiling water into my cup. The kettle was boiling for quite a while because I was outside, so it was whistling. So I don't know how long that was boiling, but it was hot, and it still is. I let my tea steep for, I mean, it used to be under a minute. It used to be a solid 30 seconds, and then that would be perfect for me. But today I let my tea steep for maybe 2 minutes, maybe 3. Sometimes it's longer. It depends how keen for my tea I am, really. And then I take the tea bag out. No, oh my gosh, this is getting intense. I leave the tea bag in unless I'm really afraid it's oversteeped. I can't remember what I did today. I think I took it out, but maybe not. And I add my milk. I use unsweetened almond milk. I believe the brand is Sanitarium. I have had many different milks in the past. I used to use cow's milk, but that would upset my stomach, so let's not go into that. I used a variety of different soy milks. I think I tried rice milk at one point, but that didn't go well. I've had lots of different almond milks, and now I'm on to unsweetened almond milk, and it's very, very nice. I pour in my almond milk, and then I have the perfect cup of tea. If I need to, I will mix it with my tea bag. I don't tend to mix it with a spoon. I pour in the milk last. I have left my tea too cold. If I need to, I will microwave it to heat it up. I like a tea that is verging on being dark and mild. But most of all, I like a tea that is hot and tasty. Well, that's a very fine stitching job if I do say so myself. And it's done. So I am going to wait till it's a bit brighter tomorrow probably and try on all these things, see how they fit, and see what a fantastic job I did. But for now, I'm going to hop into this and say bye. Bye. So I mended this. Yay for mending. I have worn this many times since mending it. I actually did my mending video a little while ago, but I've worn this at least 3 times and I just love it. It's such a cute cut and style, and I love the little ties at the sleeves, and I just think it's so, like, it's a really interesting neckline, and I just didn't like the tie and I really love it now. So 50-cent shirt, thrifted, made over. So as you can see, I've added this kind of lacy tie on at the back. I'm not 100% sure on the tie I've chosen. It does kind of seem to stand out a bit, but it makes the fit so much better, and I just feel like it just fits so beautifully now. And as I said, I liked it before, but I love it now. Now we have this. Now, I don't think I would wear this as a 2-piece. I mean, it looks pretty cute on camera. But I have made this into like the cutest little skirt. It fits just above the knee, but I wonder if maybe it would be cuter if it was a little bit higher. I think it would make it a really cute line, but it's really comfortable and I think it looks really nice, and I'm going to wear it a lot. The top, I'm not convinced on. I have never in my life worn a crop top apart from as part of a costume, and I don't know if I would. I had to actually add an extra little like clip at the bottom because it just was hanging really weirdly. So this is it tied up, and that makes it fit a lot better. And this is it not tied up, which feels a lot more comfortable and breathable. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about the top, but I love the skirt. I think the skirt's really cute. This is so much better. This feels beautiful. It is still a little bit loose around the bust area, but I'm definitely going to try wearing it like this, whereas I just knew before it wasn't wearable. And this. Now, I don't know if I necessarily needed to try this on. I'm now considering whether I will be taking it off because it is so warm. I have worn this many times since mending it as well. It just had a little hole in the leg. I think I did quite a nice job stitching it up. So that is it for my mending chats and thought processes. I don't know. I have since found more mending to do. Much more mending to do. But I am really kind of in love with each of the pieces that I have mended, whether I had been able to wear them before like this, or whether I hadn't been able to wear them ever before like every single other piece. I think it's a nice thing just kind of to sit down and give your mind a break and just kind of fix your clothes, get more wear out of them. Give yourself time to just be quiet. Yeah, I don't really have much more to say than that. Other than I am warm now. And there is a tiny little puppy on that chair.